A lot more people in the Bay Area are losing their jobs. Another round of layoffs for Meta.
Full-time employees are expensive. You have to understand, right? Inflation is crazy right now.
I think I'm gonna get fired. Again.
So that's the news version. Meta laying off thousands, NBC reporting it like any other Tuesday. But the people who got that email, they don't get to move on. I've been watching these TikTok videos pile up for months. People filming themselves right after getting laid off. People doing everything right and still getting cut. And there's a pattern here. 3 phases. Every single person goes through them. Let's talk about it.
So I cried at work today. Half of the entire engineering team on the product I work on was laid off. And what really got me was not just the feeling of helplessness, but the fact that after being laid off, they were focusing on trying to provide transition documentation and really writing down anything they could so that the engineers who were not affected would be able to take over. It was a regional layoff where people, rather than their impact, but more so where they were located, were just subject to being part of this layoff. Other things that I've been thinking about, one, as the product manager for this product, it feels difficult to not feel at all responsible for any of it, but I also know that there was nothing I could have done because this regional layoff was a decision made by leadership way, 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 way above my pay grade.
She says it like she's done this before. That's the thing about layoffs in 2026. A lot of people have. The second time hits different because you know exactly what's coming. She says she's tired, drained, mentally gone, and you can see all 3 of those things in her eyes.
So I got laid off. I'm a 24-year-old CPA who was laid off from her very first big girl job. It's been 2 weeks. This is the 3rd week. The first week I was in disbelief, so I took a vacation. The second week I experienced all 7 stages of grief. And now we're in the 3rd week. It's Monday and it's time to get back in the game. I debated coming on the internet with this because it kind of feels a little bit embarrassing. But then I realized it's not. It's life. I'm 24. Something like this was bound to happen, as in a bump in the road was bound to happen. And now we pivot. And why not showcase this on social media where everything is so perfect and everything is so seamless? Why not show my little bump in the road? Because showing my imperfect life gives awareness to other people who are in my age range, who are going to go through bumps, who are going to go through things that are outside of their plans. Why not show this to give awareness that that is life?
She's a CPA. She had a career she probably worked a decade to build, and she's sitting in a parking lot, wiping her eyes and telling herself to pivot. And she chooses to get back up before she even knows where she's going. You don't need to be okay to take the next step. Phase 1 is the layoff. Phase 2 is what comes after. The shock wears off, and you're left with reality. Rent is still due. Your savings is draining. And suddenly you're doing math you never thought you'd have to do.
Hosts of Good Morning America have a quarter of a brain cell between the 4 of them, and they hand that over to producers right before they get on air. Because what would possess you to say that teen unemployment is at a record high because the teens are lazy and they don't want to work and they don't want to wake up before noon? But also simultaneously acknowledge that the adults are working the teen jobs. Which one is it, bitch? Is it that the federal government laid off 400,000 people last year? Is it that these tech layoffs have been going on since God knows when? Is it that since COVID, companies decided, fuck a payroll, we'll work with less people on the floor and reduce hours, and we don't give a fuck who that affects as long as we get more profits? Could it be any of those reasons? Could it be that every time you go to a retail establishment, especially like food and stuff like that, there's no longer cashiers, there's just mobile ordering kiosks? Which one is it, bitch? Right? And my thing is, the 4 of you get up on air every day and make exorbitant salaries. And so you're actually lazy because you make these salaries that these teens will never touch for literally nothing. But you're complaining about kids that don't work and saying that these kids want to go and they should go work like babysitting jobs or grocery or retail jobs. When was the last time you saw anybody under the age of 40 working like a cashier job? Everywhere I go, it's adults. Why? Because these adults have families to feed. The job market is not the same that it used to be. You've got people with professional degrees, licensures, fucking PhDs working minimum wage retail service jobs just to make ends meet, to pay their bills, to get their family's health care. Like, which one is it, right?
When someone who's never had to worry about money tells you to just get a job, it's insulting. It's out of touch. And she's right to be angry. Because the reality is people are applying to hundreds of jobs. The rest just ghost you.
We need to be more honest about the current state of this economy and the job market because not enough of us are actually sharing the truth. The current state of the job market is essentially manufactured. Like this whole thing around job scarcity, and so many people in the job market can't find jobs. Like they're going 6 months, 1 month, 2 years, just a really long time, longer than usual, that people are going without a job. The person that always stay with a job, they ain't got one. So working for a US based employer and you are a US based worker, you have to understand, right? Inflation is crazy right now, and it has been for a while. So that means it's going to cost more. We're going to ask for more. We're going to request more. In good faith, an organization has to at least give you a merit increase like every year. So when you forego hiring full-time employees and you move into a contract, I think that they're essentially just forcing many of us into a situation where, we're going to create this manufactured job scarcity so that you don't find a full-time role and you have to go back into the workforce as a contractor so that way we can get the same work for less.
It's not that jobs aren't hiring. They're seemingly not hiring as many US-based employees. Inflation is high, which means cost of living is high, which also means we need more to live, making us expensive to employ. Phase 1 is the layoff. Phase 2 is the struggle. And then, for some people, there's phase 3, the reinvention. And this is where it gets interesting.
Start that small business. Start that small service-based business. If it's cleaning, if it's landscaping, if it's plumbing, if it's selling shirts, it doesn't matter. Start it. I was laid off in 2022, and my wife and I started a commercial and residential cleaning business, not knowing where to start. I was going to take some of the operation side. She was going to do some of the work side. We put our heads together and quickly started to roll with it. We gained a lot of residential clients. We then were able to sign with a lot of property managers as well who have large portfolios. We recently just got our first government contract with the Maricopa County Housing Authority. Start.
The reinvention doesn't happen in one dramatic moment. It happens in the margins. If you're in the middle of this right now, you're not crazy. This is hard. It's supposed to be hard. But you're not the first person to go through it, and you won't be the last. That's what this channel is about. Not the highlight reel of people who already made it, but the slow, boring, unglamorous work of building a life that can survive a layoff. Subscribe if that makes sense to you.